For KBRFradio.com News, I'm Derek Sidian, and this is the weekly news recap, brought to you by Fergus Falls Monument, online at foreverstonmemorials.com, memorials that matter. Early Saturday morning, 2 Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses were shot in their homes. The shooter first stopped at the home of Senator John Hoffman, hospitalizing him and his wife Yvette, before killing Representative and House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark. On Saturday, just hours after the shooting, State Representative Jeff Backer said this.
It is a terrible day. This is unimaginably wrong, and it's horrible. This is an evil attack. I know those two personally very well, especially Representative Hortman and Melissa, but I also knew Senator Hoffman too. It's okay to have civil disagreement, but this is more than bonkers. This is unimaginably horrible, evil attack on two great individuals.
Law enforcement quickly initiated a statewide manhunt and arrested 57-year-old Vance Belter of Green Isle Sunday night. Belter has been charged by the state for second-degree murder and by the federal government for first-degree murder. On Monday, Senator Jordan Rasmussen went on Morning Talk and reflected on the weekend's events.
It was a shocking and devastating turn of events for the people of Minnesota, and I think we're going to be mourning the loss of Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark for a long time. And to just see this senseless violence take place over the weekend, I think, is leaving Minnesota reeling, and a lot of Speaker Hortman's legislative colleagues really in shock and disbelief over what's happened.
Allina Health says Yvette Hoffman has been released from Mercy Hospital. The burglary trial for Senator Nicole Mitchell of Woodbury is rescheduled for July 14th in Becker County. Jury selection was originally set to begin Monday, but attorneys for Democrat Nicole Mitchell requested a trial delay following the weekend shootings of 2 Minnesota lawmakers. They cited respect for the victims and a need to ease political tensions. Prosecutor Brian McDonald did not object. Mitchell was arrested in April of last year after allegedly breaking into her stepmother's Detroit Lakes home, claiming she was retrieving her late father's belongings, including his ashes. 2 firefighters were hurt while putting out a house fire in Fergus Falls on Tuesday afternoon. The Fergus Falls Fire Department responded to a house fire on the corner of Sheridan Street and Vernon Avenue at about 12:45. Division Chief Dan Lipson says crews checked the house for victims, extinguished the flames, and completed an overhaul of the area damaged by the fire, which was contained to the back of the house. He says there was also smoke damage throughout the building, with all the damage being estimated to cost about $50,000 to repair. Lipson says 2 firefighters sustained minor injuries and no civilians were injured. The fire has been determined to have been an unintentional electrical fire. Hundreds gathered at the Speece Riverfront Pavilion Saturday afternoon in protest to President Donald Trump and his administration.
No pigs! No pigs! No pigs!
A couple hundred people from around the area gathered for the No Kings rally in Fergus Falls on Saturday, an event described by organizers as a national day of action and mass mobilization in response to increasing authoritarian excesses and corruption from President Trump and his allies.
And we just think that Trump is trying to turn himself into a king, and that's not, our country was founded on getting rid of kings.
I feel like a lot of times the voices on our side can be quieter than voices on the other side, and we need to be heard. It is not the time to be quiet. It's a time to be loud and be present and be here.
While the majority of people at the event were participants, there were a few people against the protest, but they weren't there to pick a fight.
Just come to talk to people, because when we stop talking is when it gets violent. If we stop talking, that's when the sides separate and violence starts.
Despite the peaceful nature of the rally, there was a brief moment of tension towards the end. Video of the incident shows participants crossing the crosswalk, stopping traffic for about 15 seconds before a pickup with a Trump 2024 flag that had been driving by in counter-protest goes around the car in front of it, into the opposing lane of traffic, and stopping just short of the crosswalk. The protesters walking stop, and more come and stand on the crosswalk. The truck goes back and ends up turning down Stanton Avenue, while the rally's organizers disperse the participants on the crosswalk. The incident was reported to police, and no charges were filed. While Minnesota officials asked organizers across the state to cancel their events following the attacks on House Speaker Melissa Hortman, Senator John Hoffman, and their families, that didn't seem to deter people from filling up Union Bridge and speaking their minds.
Motivated me even more, because if we all go into our house and be scared, this is what they want. We need to stand up for our own democracy and our country and the people that live here.
Local organizer Pam Mechithidi was surprised by the turnout, as she estimates about 350 people showed up to participate in the rally. A man was arrested at the Fergus Falls Walmart Sunday morning for threatening to shoot the place up. According to court documents, the Fergus Falls Police Department responded to a report of a man, later identified as 37-year-old Reese Allen Tufel of Columbia Heights, going up to customers in the parking lot and threatening to kill them and everybody else. Officers found Tufel in a van at the back of the parking lot and ordered him out of the vehicle. Officers say Tufel yelled out that he wasn't going back to jail and attempted to drive away, but drove over stop sticks and was removed from his vehicle and taken into custody. Tufel has been charged with threats of violence and made his first court appearance on Monday. A New York Mills man is in custody for selling drugs to a confidential informant in a controlled buy. Ottertail County prosecutors say that on August 7th of last year, the Minnesota West Central Drug and Violent Crime Task Force received information from an informant that they could purchase a controlled substance from 57-year-old Jeffrey Robert Kamsula. Task Force agents met with the informant and provided the cash to purchase 28 grams of methamphetamine and a wireless recording device for agents to listen in on the controlled buy. After the operation, the informant provided the agents with 2 baggies of a white crystalline substance that tested positive for meth, weighing about 26.5 grams. A warrant for Kamsula's arrest was issued on Tuesday, and he was taken into custody. He is charged with first-degree sale of a controlled substance. As of Monday, Lake Region Electric Cooperative has a new CEO. The LREC Board of Directors announced in May that Joel Janorski will serve as the cooperative's new CEO, replacing former CEO Tim Thompson, who resigned in February. Janorski is eager to bring a mix of leadership and experience to this next chapter in his career, saying, quote, "I am truly honored to join Lake Region Electric Cooperative. I look forward to collaborating with the LREC staff and building strong relationships while promoting open communication with our members as we look toward the future," end quote. Janorski most recently served as the CEO of Two Harbors-based Cooperative Light and Power and received his Master's of Business Administration from St. Cloud State. This has been the Weekly News Recap, brought to you by Fergus Falls Monument, online at foreverstonmemorials.com, memorials that matter. For KBRFradio.com News, I'm Derek Sidian. Tune in every Friday at 12:30 on KBRFradio.com or on the Fergus Now app to stay up to date with local news. Get more news at KBRFradio.com. Sign up for email news sent right to your inbox, delivered by